This is going to be the presentation. I'll talk about smallholder farming in Malawi, the challenges for smallholders, the birth of NASFAM because there is a paradigm shift, strategic services that we offer to our members, the linkages that we have to markets, both domestic and international, drivers of job creation in NASFAM, and I will end there. In terms of smallholder farming in Malawi, it's been mostly, please keep pressing until the whole slide is shown. Previously, smallholder farmers have been told you are subsistence producers, therefore just produce enough for your family to eat. On average, they have 1 hectare that they cultivate. They may possess more land than 1 hectare, but because they are using the hand hoe as a basic tool of use throughout the productive cycle, they can only effectively cultivate 1 hectare. More than 80% of the population are smallholder farmers, accounting for more than 85% of agricultural production, mainly producing food crops like maize, being supplemented by rice, cassava, sorghum, and other pulses. But since the early 1990s, smallholder farmers have now been allowed to produce and export industrial crops. Next. There are many challenges. These are the ones that we have time to discuss. Limited access to credit and high interest rate. If you are bringing smallholder farmers to be commercial producers, this is a factor. Many times, prices of agricultural inputs are unaffordable. There is limited access to high-quality inputs, particularly quality certified seed. Because they work independently on their own without being in collective groups, they have weak bargaining power, and more often they face low product prices. Lack of access to markets, which is the topic of discussion. Insufficient access to technologies, equipment, and knowledge, and therefore their productivity levels are ever decreasing. Weak institutional linkages and extension structures, the research stations, the universities, and so on, have got technologies that can help smallholder farmers to increase their productivity and production. But because there is a weakness in the linkages to those research findings, they are continuing to produce very low. And finally, lack of their voice to defend their political and economic interests because they are working on their own without being collectively organized. NASFAM emerged out of a greater recognition that the answer to smallholder situation and challenges lied in working in organized groups. The farmer members chose to work in associations after being challenged that their future lies in being organized. Meanwhile, NASFAM has 14 association management centers with 43 viable associations which form the NASFAM network at national level with an overall membership of more than 108,000 members. And thus, NASFAM is organized as a farmer-directed business system where farmers promote and market cash and food crops such as chilies, groundnuts, tobacco, cotton, rice, soya, and beans. Next slide. We offer strategic services to our members in order for them to do business, but we also do development because it does make good business sense. Therefore, these are the services that we offer to our members. Keep on pressing until you have all the services, please. Governance and leadership of democratic institutions, capacity building, production and marketing, farm supply shops for inputs, conservation agriculture to take care of the environment, food security to make sure that although they are producing food, they are also food secure. As we've heard, sometimes the producers can be very food insecure. Policy and advocacy, because sometimes government and private sector comes up with policies that they think are good for smallholder farmers without involving the smallholder farmers. HIV, AIDS, and gender integration, because it affects production and productivity. Information and communication, adult literacy and numeracy, when you are trying to make farming as business to smallholder farmers and they can't read and write, then you are at a losing end. And rural infrastructure development, because, as I said, it makes good business sense. Next slide, please. We link them to service providers because NASFAM cannot provide all the services. In terms of the linkages that we have to domestic and international markets, NASFAM is working with our smallholder farmers to form and manage cohesive grassroots farmer groups for input and output marketing, bringing benefits of economies of scale and bargaining for better marketing terms. Our members produce different crops which are sold to domestic and international markets, And association centers are the key for processing, collection, and marketing. In the pictures there, you can see some of the products that we are producing, adding value to them, bringing them to the supermarket shelves so that the members can benefit from the better prices that you have at the end of the scale. Next slide. Press again. Associations are supported in terms of organizing transport to markets. This is a well established for our tobacco growing. 60% of my members grow tobacco, and tobacco is the biggest crop that Malawi depends on for its forex. Domestically, we are focusing on comparative advantage because NASFAM is linking the farmers to the service providers rather than trying to provide all the services ourselves. And in terms of international markets, we have fair trade customers such as Twin and Twin Trading that have played a key role in bringing us to connect to markets in retail shops in the UK such as Co-op, Tesco, Sainsbury's, as well as we have our own label called Liberation. If you go to www.chooseliberation.com, you read about all the smallholder farmers that are linking to markets.
Well done.
Those are some of the products that we are producing. Next slide, please. In terms of being drivers for job creation, there are principles, activities, and processes that are behind self-employment, formal and temporary forms of employment involved, which have created jobs in NASFAM. Primarily, when you are creating farming as business for the smallholder farmers who have been subsistence producers, that is a huge market that you have created. More than 108,000 of our members are now farming as business, and therefore they are taking that labor out of the market, out of the demand for being employed somewhere else. In terms of formal employment, association management centers across the country have employed young men and women to carry out different functions. Directly, the associations employ more than 200 members, 253 men and 52 women. I must confess that we are not doing well on the gender there. Next slide, please. In terms of formal and temporary jobs created through our warehousing system, NASFAM in its role to ensure sustainable value chains as warehouses where crops are processed and stored before going to market. In the picture at the top, you can see some women that have been employed to grade and sort groundnuts before they are machine graded and sorted. We have 9 permanent staff and 160 temporary staff every season. In terms of jobs created through agro-processing, NASFAM has scaled up value addition by opening oil processing factories which process oil from groundnuts and sunflower. In the picture at the bottom, you can see some of the machine sorting that is being done, and it has also created employment there. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, in your folder, you'll find a slide that says the future belongs to the organized. In NASFAM, we believe that if you don't organize, if you don't mobilize, if you're not working collectively as smallholder farmers, then you continue to be subsistence producers, you not be part of the value chain, and therefore your future is not going to be good. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.